and would be discussing about few countries today. So my request to all my viewers that we would be doing a live session. Post that we will be answering to all the questions that you might have. So I would request everyone to pen down all your questions so that we can discuss at the end of the session. So to begin with, we will start the session. I will quickly introduce you to the Visas Avenue portal and everything. How does exactly process works for Canada and UK? So today I'll be discussing for Canada and UK student visa, everything that you would want to know. To begin with, Visas Avenue is incorporated in the year 2013, and Visas Avenue is predominant and registered visa consultancy services in India. So Visas Avenue is associated with the Mara agent and a member of a genuine and a trusted immigration service. So we have our branch offices almost across all the 9 offices in India, and predominantly we have our corporate office in Delhi itself. We have our other branch offices in Mumbai, we have our branch offices in Pune, Bangalore, Noida, all across. Visas Avenue takes a pride on the visa success rate for over 97%. So these are the percentage that we can mention based on the students' testimonial that we have gotten and the previous visa success rate. Okay, to end up the session in the first instance, in the sense the target that we are targeting the audience today. So services that we provide are the student visa, then we offer the tourist visa, the guardian visa, and also the category of the other visas like super visa, spouse dependent visa, and dependent child visa, etc. Moving forward, there are other questions which has come up with the students like how does the visas avenue help students in catering to? Visas avenues help students in the student visa process. That means all the aspirants in the overseas education in the industries, we can help them, we cater them in terms of the visa process, how the file has to be prepared, and throughout their journey from the profiling, shortlisting online till the visa process. We do have our value added services in terms of we help students in preparing for the IELTS examination, preparing the PT examination, also helping them booking up the interview dates and all those stuff. Along with that, we also give the value added services for Canada. Say, for example, they want to open up a GIC bank account in the CIBC Bank or Nova Scotia Bank or any ICICI bank. So we do help them those kind of services. Apart from this, we also guide the students in terms of their editing, letter of recommendation, statement of purpose, how the editing, what are the letter of intent that they have to do, all those stuff. On moving forward, we not only help the students with evaluated services, before taking up the case, we do evaluate that case based on the credentials that they have. We randomly do not pick up any one case and then we say that yes, you can proceed ahead with Visas Avenue. This is the entire journey and all. So we each case studies are different. Every students have a different portfolio and a different set of academic credentials. So we do the case study in detail, looking at the immigration history, the pass percentage, what are the subjects they have taken during their studies in India. Post that, we do the shortlisting for the students. Also, we help them in the documentation assistance in terms of which all documentations are required for a different set of countries. Say, for example, in Canada, the academic documentations are required. So whether the documentation has to be notarized or the documents has to be apostille for a different country or any documentation that has to be verified with the visa avenue with our own digital stamp, we do help the students in those as well. So there are certain documents which has not been accepted with the Canadian High Commission. We do recommend the students what are the alternatives towards it. Also, while doing the visa application, we do help students in fill up the visa application form, helping them with the checklist, preparing the cover letter with a professional help. We have a professional editor who would be helping you with your statement of purpose, your cover letter, how we present the file in terms of lodging the visa application present of the embassy. Last but not the least, in terms of the visa refusal cases, we have a very good and a high success rate in terms of a visa refusal cases. We definitely look into the past history of our students. We look into what are the grounds on which the visa has been refused. We randomly do not lodge the visa application. So what we do is before taking up the case, we do evaluate what kind of a documentations were put up in the first instance, what was the credentials of the student, the number of gap period that you had during your studies, thereafter what other documentations which were required by the Canadian High Commission, and he would not able to provide those documentations during lodging a visa application. So thereafter, we also do a CAPES note, which would help you to evaluate what was the reason for the prior rejections. So after a detailed analysis on your visa refusal, we definitely look forward to the future lodgement of your visa application process. So I'm pretty much sure that all the folks were very much intent to know, what is the seminar all about. Today, the seminar is all about to clear all your doubts and the curiosity that you have regarding the Canadian and the UK education system. I'm sure these are your questions. Why Canada? Why not UK? Why not US? What are the requirements? Am I eligible to apply to that particular country? What are the rights and the category of my visa application? Am I lodging the visa application in the right category? Last but not the least, the time that is involved. What is the maximum time frame that would be required for my offer letter, for my application, acceptance, applying for scholarships, preparing my financial documentation? Last but not the least is your visa application. We do discuss about the cost involved throughout your application process and the visa process. Towards the end of my slide, we will be talking about the cost that has been involved during the complete process. Moving forward, we would be discussing about certain other facts of Canada, why one should choose Canada as one of the study destination. So when you consider that Canada to launch a visa application, you would be hunting to different agents to figure out which agent to go ahead. If the parents, and I'm sure the parents are also online, they must have these kind of a questions thinking that whether is a genuine agent or not. When we talk about this, Visas Avenue takes a pride that we are a private limited company. Also, we are a MARA certified agency. For example, Visas Avenue is a trusted immigration advisor as well as a education advisor associated with CIC members. So we have certain kind of accreditations and we have a certification. We our counselors are certified through which you get the advice in a right professional manner. Yeah, I could see few of your students are putting up their questions. I would be discussing this question towards the end of my session. So I would request each one of you to pen down your questions and we will discuss one on one at the end of the session. Now, why Canada? And I'm sure this question is a very common question amongst all the folks over there on screen. Now, Canada, number one, is the second largest country in this world after Russia, after having a population of almost 36 or 38 million. Secondly, Canada is the land of opportunities. That means you have an opportunity to get a part time working rights in Canada during the studies and also during the vacations. It's a very much PR friendly country. You get your co-op programs, that is the paid or unpaid internships, and it is a land of opportunity in terms of when we consider Quebec or we consider Ontario, it is the best place for industries. So you have ample opportunities in pharmaceutical, chemical, biotechnology, business all across. It's not centric to one particular profession or occupation. Then it's a backdoor entry to United States, and I'm sure there are a couple of students who are very much keen on applying to United States for XYZ reason. If you aren't able to make any of the top universities in US, you may consider Canada for your study destination to route to US and the travel to many countries without having a visa, because the US Canada visas are considered to be a very strong visas when you consider as compared to other countries in the world. Moving forward, there now I will be talking about the entire education system in Canada. The Canadian education system is basically divided in three categories: the universities, the community colleges, and the private colleges. The universities are primarily those top 98 universities in Canada. And I'm sure on screen you can see a few of the names which I've penned down on the screen. University of Toronto, University of British Columbia, McGill, McMaster, Montreal, U Alberta, University of Ottawa, Calgary. Waterloo is again a very top ranked university. Queen's University, Laval University. Then we have Simon Fraser University, which is in British Columbia. Then we have Dalhousie, University of Victoria, which is again the oldest university. York University is again a very popular one. So these are few of the universities which I've penned down for your references, because I could not mention all of those 98 universities. So these are the few of those which I've mentioned. Anybody who has any questions regarding the university shortlisting and everything, you can get in touch with Visas Avenues. We have a branch offices all across. Please refer to our website, so that you can find out our nearest branch office. Either you visit or you can drop us an email for the assistance. Now, as I've mentioned, these are the universities. Now, talking about the colleges, which I've mentioned, these are known as a community colleges. In India, we call it as a community, or you can say the polytechnics in India, right? So similarly, in Australia, UK, or in Canada, or in US, we call it as a community colleges. Few renowned colleges in Canada: Seneca, Algonquin College. Then we have Humber College, George Brown College, Douglas College, Durham College, Camazin College. Then we have Fleming College, Lambton College, Langara, etc. So these are few colleges which I've mentioned. If you would like to pen down few of these to do your research, what kind of a program that you're looking at, you're more than welcome to do so. Yeah. Now, post that, we have the private colleges. We really do not encourage many students. That's the reason it's not mentioned on my slide. We do not recommend students to really apply to a private college, because the university or the college that you apply to should have a designated learning institute, should be a designated learning institutions. If your college is not recognized by a certain body, there will be a problem later on in the fee protection schemes, right? But if at all the college shuts in, you will be at the problem. So we would recommend you to apply to a community college or to a university. Then the education system, as I mentioned, it's three types. Let me talk about the speciality of the universities, colleges, and what programs they offer. When we talk about universities, universities offer a master's program, they offer a postgraduate diploma, they offer a graduate certificate. And also, last but not the least, is your PhDs. Colleges offer a diploma, advanced diploma, associate degree, transfer program, and an English language program. So now the basic difference between the colleges and the universities is like somebody who's very much research oriented and would like to complete their bachelor's followed by the master's and then the MPhil and then the PhD would definitely look into the university as an option, right? Post that, they look for the residency or a permanent residency over there in Canada. Somebody is looking for a skilled job would definitely look into the colleges, because colleges are offering a diploma and a postgraduate diploma, which I've already mentioned. The only concern that comes for Indian students, the only concern with these two difference is that in Canadian colleges, they need 15 years of education. They do accept students with 15 years of education, but when we talk about the universities, they need bare minimum 16 years of education, which is 10 plus 2 plus 4 year of your bachelor's. There where's the concern line, but there are universities like University of Canada West, Vancouver Island University, then we have Nipissing University, then we have Thompson River University. There are a couple of universities who do accept 15 years of education, but the courses are very much limited. Hence, your option should be open to the colleges because these are also government funded. Likewise, in the universities, private colleges are not government funded. The best part in the colleges is that you do get co-op programs, which is known as a paid or unpaid internship. So if you go for a paid or unpaid internship, you likely have a chance to continue with the same employer post completion of your course. That is something which is recommended in your case. So moving forward, as I've mentioned, the university, the education system, how exactly works. Let me quickly tell you about the entry requirement of the universities and the colleges. So when we talk about the entry requirement of the universities, they need bare minimum 65% in graduation. Either it's a 3 year bachelor's degree or your 4 year bachelor's degree. So please look into the university website. Either they're asking for a 4 year bachelor's degree or they're asking for a 3 year bachelor's degree. Then you would be asked to take the standardized test. Could be GMAT, could be GRE, could be SAT, which is for undergraduate students. GRE, GMAT is for the postgraduate students. Then the university would definitely ask you to take your English proficiency test. Best part in Canada is that they do accept all the three examinations: IELTS, PT, and Duolingo, and do accept TOEFL as well. But there is a concern in terms of lodging the visa applications. I want each one, if you pen down this concern, if you're lodging the visa application under the STS category, right? If you're lodging the visa application under the STS category, I'll come to the word what do we mean by STS category. In that case, you need to take your English proficiency test as an IELTS. They do not accept TOEFL or any other language under this category. Otherwise, automatically when you lodge your application, it will go under the non-STS category. So I'll talk about this STS category post this application checklist. That's the bare minimum which I've mentioned, the entry requirements for the universities. And thereafter, the academic grades, your 10th, 12th, bachelor's, which is mentioned on the screen, bachelor summary certificate, bachelor summary certificate, then we have an English proficiency test. So universities would accept all types of English proficiency tests that you have it, either of those. For admission, that's fine. For the visa process, it's always appreciated to take your English proficiency test as an English. Then we have your passport copy, the first and the last page, biographical page of your passport, updated CV, letter of recommendation, preferably two letter of recommendation if at all you are working. You can take one from your academic recommender, two from your professional. Somebody whom are you working with? Say for example, your immediate team leader or your immediate manager or somebody who are you are reporting to. Next is your statement of purpose. So, statement of purpose really plays a vital role in making a visa decision for any country in this world. So, you need to be very precise in terms of doing the Canadian statement of purpose, but that reveals about your profile. You know that where exactly you stand. Like, it's like, you're writing an essay about yourself. So starting from your profiling, like, about your academic background, your family background, who else is there in your family, why have you chosen Canada? These are the key points. If anybody wish to pen down, they may pen down these questions. And later on, at the end of the session, we can, if you have any doubt, we can check on these questions that we're talking on the statement of purpose. Then they will ask you, why do you want to go to Canada? Why not any other country? They just want to figure it out. High Commission would definitely would want to know, why have you not chosen any other country in this world if you're having the required grades? Why have you chosen this particular university? They can figure it out. Since it's an immigration country, are you restricted to apply to a particular region? Either it's Ontario, any of these 10 provinces, they'll try to figure it out where exactly you're trying to go. Are there any ties there in Canada? So they can figure it out. So you need to mention that why particularly you have chosen Ontario or Saskatchewan or Manitoba or any British Columbia or any of these provinces for that matter. Then they will ask you, why have you chosen this particular course? If the similar program is available in India, why are you not willing to pursue the course in India? So why do you want to go overseas and do this particular course? Okay, so there you have to prove that yes, this is the course which is not available in India, or the limited number of seats are there, and there is a quota system, and it's very competitive, or you can say anything for that matter, that this course is not available. Hence, say for example, cloud computing, artificial intelligence, actuarial science. These are the courses not too many universities in India are offering. So these courses are in the occupational list as well. So probably you can pitch in these things as well. Also, they will ask about, what are your job prospects post completion of your course? How will the course benefit you? How can you enhance your profile post the course? If you are doing this particular course, how would it benefit you? What are your career progressions? So what are the target companies that you've done the research? You have to mention about the companies that you have thought working in Canada, as you know that you are entitled to get a post study work right up to 3 years. So, what during that frame of time, what are you going to do in Canada? Have you targeted any companies that you will be joining? That's number one. Also, they would find out if you're planning to come back to your home country, that means you're planning to come back to India. So, likely they want you to declare everything in written. So, you may write about the companies which are there, any Fortune 500 companies in Gurgaon, anywhere, Delhi, or if you go to Bangalore, the top companies in there, which is IT Hub, or in Hyderabad, we have those top companies. So, you can mention about these, even in Mumbai. So these things are important. And also, last but not the least, they will ask you about your immigration has history. So do you have any kind of a prior refusal? If you do have, please do not try to hide the information, because High Commission, the visa officers are very smart enough to figure it out and find out that what information are you trying to hide. So right, if you try to hide the information, it will be a, you know it will be a challenge with you in getting the positive visa decision. So my recommendation would be, if there is any kind of a refusal for XYZ any country, even if it is not stamped on your passport, do mention on the statement of purpose that you had a prior refusal under these grounds. Wherever, be honest with the High Commission. There's no harm in being honest, because students do get refusal, and we have seen couple of visa grants. That's the speciality of getting in touch with the agent and lodging a visa application through an agent. So that's all about the statement of purpose, which I have put in some lights on. Last is your standardized test. So not too many universities are Canada are very finicky in getting these standardized tests, but it is recommended by, like, if you target about the top 100 in the QS ranking, those universities like Waterloo, British Columbia, or UBC, U Alberta, or U Ottawa. So these universities may ask for your GMAT for your management program and a GRE for your master's program. It's recommended to have it because the validity of the program is for 5 years. So it is good to have that thing because that will be an add-on advantage in your profile. That's an add-on thing in your CV. So it's recommended to have that in your portfolio. So once the application process, these are the documentations that you have in your profile. Get in touch with any of the professional consultant, form visas avenue, get in touch with any of our branch officers. We will help you to process your application for any countries in this world. Primarily, we are talking about Canada today. Now, how does the process works in Canada? What is the exact flow chart? When you come to us, what is the turnaround time? What is the maximum time frame which is required? I'm sure all of you must have these questions, and then probably you must be thinking, what is the maximum time frame is required? What is the time involved? What is the money involved? Right? These questions. So let's talk about starting from the first thing. Once you have the complete set of documentation, you apply online. So there are different university specific portals through which you apply to a various universities and colleges. So be very known about the fact that Australian, Canadian, Australian, or you would say US universities are very particular in terms of your application fee. So these universities and the colleges would have an application fee. But if you apply through Visas Avenue, any of your consultants across Pan India, any of the offices through us, if there is an application fee waiver, we tend to give the waiver to the students. So you do not have to pay that application fee, which would range from 30 Canadian dollar to 80 Canadian dollar. It may go up to 100 Canadian dollar also. So you do not have to. If there's a waiver, we do give the waiver to the students wherever possible. That's our specialty. So that's how we help the students with. Secondly, once you apply to the university, there is a time frame of 3 to 4 weeks to get your offer letter, which is known as the, I would say, letter of acceptance, or I would not say letter of acceptance. I would say it's better. It's a conditional offer letter that you will get if you are meeting all the requirements, including your English proficiency test. There, where you get your unconditional offer letter. Post getting your unconditional offer letter, you can move ahead with three things. First is your acceptance of your offer letter. You need to got to accept the offer letter, that you're accepting offer letter. Because if you are entitled for some kind of a scholarship, it will be mentioned on the offer letter. So you accept the offer letter. Accepting the offer letter, you accept the scholarship. After accepting the scholarship, you move into the next stage. The next stage is that you can go ahead with your pre-medicals. So there is a medical examination which has been recommended by Canadian High Commission. So you have to get your pre-medicals, followed by opening a bank account with either ICICI Bank or Nova Scotia, which is known as a guaranteed investment certificate. There's a scheme which you need to apply for to show your living expense in Canada. The amount would be 10,200. This is the amount that you need to transfer to a bank for your living expense, and that is required to show at the time of your visa. So, as I mentioned, one thing in my previous conversation, that I've spoken about something called STS, Student Direct Stream. That means in the year 2018, that's on 7th of June, Canadian High Commission, or I would say the Canadian government, has launched a scheme which is known as Student Direct Stream, wherein they're trying to streamline the application process for the students who falls under the designated integrated learning category. What happens is there are certain things which you need to keep in mind. If you're applying under the STS category, first thing is that you need to enroll as a full-time student. Full-time student, that means you need to have a full-time registration with a designated integrated learning institution first. Secondly, you need to pay the entire 1 year tuition fee at one go. So we would be needing the receipt of your 1 year tuition fee. That is something we need to be ready towards it. Moving forward, we would also need the English proficiency test. The bare minimum requirement for your English proficiency test is 6 overall, and no component should be less than 5.5. Either it's a reading, listening, speaking, or writing. So all four sections should not be less than 5.5. That's a bare minimum requirement under the STS category. Also, there should not be too much huge gap amongst your study. So that is not recommended. Avoid having gaps after year 12, say for example, 3 to maximum gap they do accept is for 5 years or 5 to 8 years for a master's program. So that is something which has not been encouraged under the STS category. Also, you need to show the proof of funds of GIC. That means you have to pay your living expense upfront. That is 10,200 is the amount you pay your tuition fee, which would range from 17,000 Canadian dollar to 25,000 Canadian dollar. You pay your tuition fee, you have an English proficiency score, and there are good, you have your pre-medical. You need to get your medicals done well in advance before lodging the visa application, and then you are good to go to lodge your visa application under the STS category. If you are not meeting any of the parameters which I've just mentioned, probably your file will go under the non-STS category. Though we calculate the financials in Canada for one academic year, I want each one of you to make a note of it that, if you're going for a 1 year program or a 2 year program in Canada, funds calculation would remain the same for one academic year. For the second year, you just show your progression. You can show what kind of a backing that you have for the next year. They do not need to know the funds that you need, but they just want to have a fair understanding. How would you be supporting your second year? 1 year tuition fee, 1 year living expense, you're good to go, and a travel airfare that do consider, which would depends. It could be 50,000, a lakh of rupees. That's something that you do consider. So this is the bare minimum amount you need before your visa. So when you do launch a visa application, there's not too many fees been involved. So let me be very honest. I could see few questions coming up in terms of the cost involved. Since Canada is a very economic country to be dealt with, 1 year tuition fee, you just pay your 1 year tuition fee, your GIC amount, you just have to pay your IELTS examination, which is barely 15,500 INR in India that you take that test. Lodging the application, I think medical would not be very more than 5 to 6,000 INR, and your visa fee is 235. That means 150 is a visa application, 85 is for your biometric. So this is the whole cost that is involved in the Canadian visa application, right? Few of you may have a questions. Ma'am, you have explained about the funds and everything which you have mentioned. So I've mentioned about the funds. Now let me tell you who all can sponsor your funds, right? So parents are something that, yes, they would definitely be sponsoring your study. They are an acceptable sponsor. Your siblings are an acceptable sponsor. Your grandparents are your acceptable sponsor. A distant relative would not be considered as a acceptable sponsor. So I would not encourage or recommend anybody to take funds from your family or from anybody, XYZ person or a distant relative, to sponsor your studies. That is not advisable. Try to have the funds from India itself, and that's good to strengthen your file that you have your funds from your immediate family member and somebody is willing to sponsor you. That is something which is very much important. Okay. Apart from this, if you have a scholarship, because in Canada there is an option of getting, the number would not be a huge, but yes, they tend to give scholarship to the right candidate. It's purely merit based scholarship. So basically, the scholarship, primarily the most common scholarship would be international peace scholarship, which is for the women's. That the total amount for the scholarship 25,000, and that's on the discrete decision of the government. Secondly, we have Ontario Graduate Scholarship. Then we have University Specific Scholarship, which is the merit-based scholarship. Except University of Waterloo, it is an entrance scholarship. So you need to apply for the scholarship. The rest of the scholarship are by default. If you meet the criteria, definitely you will be awarded with a certificate stating that you're eligible for 30% of your tuition fee, 50% of your tuition fee, or 100% of your tuition fee. That's how it works for the universities. But for the colleges, it's the paid internship. It's a kind of a bursary that they give you. It's one off that you get it from the colleges. Then primarily, let's talk about the funds. Funds which we have calculated bare minimum, we would say 18 to 20 lakh or 20 lakh at the max that you show. Acceptable sponsor are your parents. Now, who, after you say that your parents can sponsor your funds, my question, and definitely everybody would have the same questions. What are the kind of documentation that are required? So a good winning application would be, if you launch the visa application under the STS category with the proper set of documentation, with the required basic requirement from the Canadian High Commission, plus First of all, the sponsor details. Who is sponsoring your studies? You need the details from your employer. That means employer or your sponsor could be maybe a company sponsoring you wherever you're working, or maybe your parents are sponsoring for your higher education. So you need the details of your sponsors also. First would be your PAN card of your sponsor, affidavit of support stating that that person is willing to sponsor your education and living expense in Canada. Then we have the IT returns or the Form 16. IT returns would be for 3 financial year with the computation of income. Then we have the Form 16. If you do not have any IT returns, even the Form 16 would work. Or an income certificate for the agricultural income. If somebody is working, basically these is for the students from the Punjab region. They're very particular that they have a lot of agricultural farmlands and all those stuff. So in that case, you would be needing the income certificate from your tehsildar, and that is also an acceptable document to show the proof of income. Next is like what category of the funds have been accepted. First would be the saving account. We would be needing a 6 month old saving account. Second would be your a fixed deposit, which needs to be 6 months old. And definitely, last but not least, you can take your educational loan. The loan has to be disbursed. We just don't need the sanction letter, the loan has to be disbursed. Apart from this, just to support your application, you can definitely give a CA statement certificate, wherein the CA will categorically mention that so and so person has an liquid asset of this much amount, the source of income is this, and also will also mention what kind of a movable and immovable assets that you have in the combination in your family. So that is something that will be an add-on support to your documentation that would help you to strengthen your visa file. And of course rest of the documentation would fall as we go ahead with your application. So each case would be different. So your our client relationship manager, when will you will get in touch with your client relationship manager, they would definitely get in touch with you and let you know what documentations are required, what supporting documents that you can provide. My see, visa application is something that university application is very different altogether to a visa application. University application are pretty much easy enough to process the application, but when it comes to visa, at the end of the day you need your visa to fly to that country. So you have to be very precise what documentation has been put into your file application, what best you can do. Do not be in a hurry to just lodge the application because the deadline is approaching. That would not help you in favor of getting a positive decision. Okay. Also, you need to put the lights on the cover letter, which I've mentioned. Whenever we lodge a visa application, none of the applications in Visas Avenue would go to Canadian High Commission without a cover letter. So we have a professional British Council certified editor who would be editing your cover letter. It's like a application to the visa officer, and it's a consolidated, compiled cover letter of your whole profile, right? Why should the visa officer grant you a visa? You can write, you can pen down everything. Because they would not have too much of time to figure it out each and every documentation. Hence, a cover letter plays a vital role in making the visa decision. Also, the statement of purpose. For these two support, we do have our professional help, so you can get in touch with us for this. Secondly, once this has been done, you would the funds which you have shown to the Canadian High Commission or any UKVI High Commission, any country that you show, that fund should be intake till the time you cross the border. You cannot take out the funds. It's not that you have lodged the visa application, you can take out the funds from that account. No, that is not been permitted. Until and unless you cross the border, you are not entitled to touch the fund. That means the fund should remain untouched till you're enrolled for that particular course. Once you are done with this, then we recommend you to have your medicals, which I said pre-medical is something which is required, and then we lodge your visa application with the visa application fee, which I said 235 Canadian dollar. Once the application has been lodged, we definitely keep checking the profile of yours and the decision from the Canadian High Commission. If at all they raise any question that they will write, they will flag you a issue stating that the action has been required in your profile. So we do check that profile. If there's an additional requirement of your documentation, so we go back to your profile, ask you to arrange the documents, and then we send it to the High Commission back again. Post that, you get your decision. Once you get your decision, there are a lot of other things which has been involved post that. First of all would be your booking up your flight tickets. So the flight tickets would be pretty much very expensive, so we can also guide you on that. So it's always good to have a dummy booking prior to this thing, so that you have fair understanding by when you can get the visa. The maximum time frame would be 45 working days. So fair, by then you can book up your flight tickets, have a pre-deposit, what are the do's, what documentation you can carry, what a complete set of documents that are required when you fly. Because most likely the university, the immigration authority, when you land in Canada, do check a random check on the original documents that you have. They might ask you, let me have a look into your GIC, let me have a look into your accommodation. So these things, once a visa has been granted, you need to look into these things, which are very, very important. Post that, you also need to take care of certain other things. If you're at all wearing specs and all, you need to take up alternative specs. There are a lot of other things that we will be doing in the pre-departure session. After that, once you fly to Canada, then we also have a post-landing services that we do. If you need any help, that you would like to extend your program, you would like to bring your parents along, then we have other visa categories also. If at all you think that, yeah, you do not have sufficient funds to take your spouse along or your dependents along, we do help with the spouse open work permit and your dependent visa. So once you fly, your dependents can get in touch with us. With the same GCK that we create under those category, we can launch your application for your dependents and your spouse. But not necessarily the turnaround time of what you had would be same to your dependents. It may vary from candidate to candidate, depending on the lot of application, the volume of application, depending on the time frame. So for example, during the Christmas time, the visa official, most of the offices get shut. So they slow down the process at that point of time, and after New Year they start working on the file, so the files get piled up. So sooner you apply, or together you apply, better is the chance to get a positive decision early. And there's no assurance on the rule change. The rule keeps changing. So every PNP has a different scenario. I'll talk a little bit about the PNP program also, wherein that's the easiest and the shortest pathway to get a short term pathway to get into a permanent residence in Canada. So that's how the services is all about. Now I would like to put some lights on the work permit. As I've mentioned at the starting of my session, that Canada entitles you to get a post-study work right up to 4 years. Up to 3 years. In this during time frame, while you study, you are entitled to work 20 hours per week. But during the vacations, you are having right to work up to 40 hours per week in during the vacation time. Now, in Canada, the best part is that you do not need to work in a relevant field to get into a permanent residency pool or PNP programs and everything. So we have a different wing for permanent residency. If you do not fit into the right category, if you think that you're overqualified or there are some other factors wherein your student visa chances are lesser, we would definitely recommend you to our PR wing. We have a senior most person over there in the PR wing also. He or she would be taking care of your PR case also. If we think that you need assistance in a different way, like you need assistance in a guardian visa or a tourist visa, we have a separate wing for that as well. Yeah. Now, once that has been done, so we cater to other visa categories. Likewise, I said the student open work permit and the dependent visa. So we put up the applications together and their consecutive visas have been granted. We also help students in the provincial nominee program, as I have mentioned. So provincial nominee program is the easiest pathway to, or the shortest pathway, the best pathway, I would say, to get into your permanent residency in Canada. There are few provinces like British Columbia, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Prince Edward Island, Nova Scotia. So these provinces do conduct the PNP program, wherein there's an LLP. Say, for example, if you are applied to a college in Saskatchewan and then you want to apply for a permanent residency, then if the same permanent residency nominee program is been that province is participating in that particular program, you can to apply for a provincial nominee program, and that can also be guided by our consultant over here. So that is something that's an add-on thing in your profile, and post that you can also look for your citizenship if you stay for a longer period of time. There's one more category of the visa that we also help you with, that is called the super visa. Basically, the super visa is for the students, or I would say the Canadian citizens, or somebody who is already a PR holder in Canada and they wish to take their parents to visit them, or their grandparents. Basically, they want their parents or the grandparents to visit frequently or to be with them for a longer period of time. So this visa will entitle a person to stay under the super visa category to stay up to 2 years. The validity of the visa is 10 years. So in 2 years, they can do multiple entries to that particular country and they can take it forward. And then they apply for residency, whichever category they want to take it forward. So that in a nutshell, I just want to summarize that Canada is a very friendly country. I would really want to focus on the part-time working rights over there in Canada. So there is no limitations to it. People can earn good jobs in Canada. Secondly, there is an option. It's a free PR friendly country. You can apply for a permanent residence in country. Depending on the score, CRS score that you have, or the number of points that you have, you need to have that point evaluation prior to applying to that. That assistance has to be done. And then obviously it's a multicultural country, and there's a long way of going ahead with Canada because it's kind of a backdoor to US. As you know, somebody who's a dream to go to US because of some financial constraint or something would definitely route through Canada. So that's the right opportunity that you can go ahead with. And it's a very they're very welcoming country for the immigrants, so that is an add-on advantage. And you would find too many Indians there in Canada. It's not that you would not find too many Indians. And the maximum population, I would say, in Canada are within the 250-kilometer radius with the border to US. So that's that close it is with the US border. And popular programs which I've mentioned, which is there in the federal skill demand list, are a few of the programs like pharmaceutical, biotechnology, automation, aerospace. These are some of the best hubs in Canadian market. So yeah, that's how we guide you with the complete process for student visa, either tourist visa or a permanent residency. So with by not taking much of your time, I would like to open up the pool for the Q&A session now, so that if you have any further questions, probably you can ask me, and then I can answer them one on one to all of you. Yeah. Yeah. I would first pick up the question. Somebody had asked a question. So, is it necessary to have a 16 years of education? No, it is not. As I mentioned, that there are universities who do accept with the 15 years of education as well. You can pen down the names of those few universities: University of Canada West, Vancouver Island University, Nipissing University, Thompson River University, and there are a few more like Brock University. Then we have Trent University. They do accept with the 15 years of education as well. Yeah, I hope I have answered to your questions. Yeah, there's one more question which has come up. If I've completed my MBA in the year 2011, after that 7 years of work experience accounts, and I've done again 3 years of a graduate, and my age is 36. Am I eligible for a student visa? Yes, of course, Mohammed. I would say yes, you are eligible for a student visa. See, it is not about having a gap. Since you have a 7 years of a work experience, if it is throughout and you have the documentary proof, say for example, the Form 16, you're lodging on IT returns and on papers, you're getting the document salary on the account itself. We need the salary slips and everything. If you can provide all the documentary proof, then I would say yes, you're good to go ahead with the student visa application. And as you've said, you've already completed an MBA program. You will not be entitled to go for a generic MBA program. If you wish to specialize, either you go for an executive MBA or you specialize to a niche program, which would justify that you're not doing the similar program. Remember, Canada, there is something called the progression of the course and the relevancy of the course. So your course should be relevant to what you've already studied, and there should be a progression. That means a level up to the course that you intend to study with the Canadian education system. Yeah. So yes, you are very much entitled, but yeah, if you have time, I would encourage you to take a GMAT, and then probably you can try for the top B schools in Canada, like Rochester, or you can say DeGroote, or Audit Business School, or Goodman Business School. These are the top B schools in Rotman Business School. So you can try for these. Richard Ivey is another top B schools in Canada. You can try for these top B schools, and yeah, there's a fair chance of getting you in Canada. And of course, that's a long future to go ahead with. Then the next question I have. Okay, so Satnam has asked me speak something about the permanent residence of Canada. So today's seminar is basically for the student visa. We do, I think we consecutively, we do seminars for the permanent residency also. So stay tuned with us. Please visit to our website, and I would be giving you the contact details of the organization so that you can have a one-on-one session with any of the professional help, and we can take it forward. Yeah. So post your CV with us, and yeah, we can take that forward, and then we can help you with the entire queries for the permanent resident. So one of my executive will definitely get in touch with you in a couple of days. Satnam, we expect your CV as early as possible. So what I'll do is I'll just give you the contact details so that everybody can view the contact details. So we confirm your eligibility and everything, and for all the countries, it's not restricted to Canada. We do not only do one country, so we are catering students to almost all the countries across the globe. So for be it Canada, US, Ireland, UK, Australia, New Zealand, all across. So you can get in touch with, this is the email ID on the screen. You can forward your CV and your documentation if you need any professional help from us. I want to study. There's one question which has come from Robin Kumar. I want to study in UK, University of Aberdeen. Please tell me about the funds. So when we talk about Aberdeen, which is a Scottish university, and I'm sure you wish to study in the Scottish university because of the weather and all, right? And the program also, the university is very well ranked in UK, even if it's not a Russell Group university. Let me see, Robin, if you can forward your CV with us. If you are looking at Aberdeen as any of the Scottish university, we may try for the Russell Group universities for you in UK. Right, there are other universities in Scotland also which we can help you with. So the fund calculation is like 9365, which would be your living expense for one academic year because that's outside London, and for your one academic year tuition fee would be approximately, depends, 18,000, 20,000 Great Britain pound, which is a GBP. So that's the fund calculation for one academic year of your tuition and your living expense. That's the total fund. Robin, I hope I've answered to your question, and rest we can definitely help you with the questions more on UK. Stay tuned with us. We will soon be having a webinar for UK as well. I have a gap in the studies. Somebody with the name of KK would like to inform you that so the maximum gap which is accepted in Canada would be like 3 to 5 years after your year 12, which is that should be a justifiable gap. It should not be you sitting idle and doing nothing, and then you try to explain the visa officer or one fine day that I want to go for a study in Canada, and then please assess my profile and grant my visa. No, that cannot happen. If you're doing something or the other, that can be a documentary proof, and yes, we can apply for that. But if you are applying for a master's program, up to 8 years of a gap can be acceptable. We can try for your visa application. Again, it depends on the profile of yours. You can send it to us for the pre-assessment and we can take that forward. Then we have one more question that has come up, that somebody wants me to tell me about the fresher MBA course in UK. Yes, UK do offer a fresher MBA course. There are university like Middlesex University, Oxford University that we have, couple of like Coventry University do, University of Greenwich University do offer. Then couple of other university in UK do offer a fresher MBA course. I'm happy to assist you with those as well. So yeah, so that's something that we can help you. But again, it depends on the profile that you have, what are the grades that you have, because UK universities is again been divided into two parts, which is again traditional university and the modern university. If you wish to go to the traditional university, which is the oldest university in UK, or the renowned universities, likely they want a percentage of 2 is to 1. So 2 is to 1 would be your first division. Couple of universities do accept 2 is to 2, but the numbers for 2 is to 2 are quite lesser. So we want to know whether you have a 60% or you have a 65% or 59.5. Based on that, we can tell you which are the fresher MBA courses that you have. Yeah. Yeah. So last but not the least, I would quickly want you all to summarize one thing, that Visas Avenue is not restricted to one particular. As I repeat the same topic on that, I'm trying to rephrase this again. Visas Avenue is not restricted to one particular department. So we do help students for across the globe, which is there on the screen, like UK, US, Canada, Ireland, New Zealand, etc. We also help students in getting the permanent residency, and also additional visas, say for example, which I said, the super visa or the tourist visa or open work permit, for that matter, or any child dependent visa. We do help for other visa categories also. So in a nutshell, it's a one-stop solution for you to get an assistant from various departments that we have. Our corporate office is based out of Delhi. If any students are based out of Delhi, are more than welcome to come and meet me. I am accessing, probably my workstation is from Delhi itself, so we can come down. Our office is in Aeroplace itself. So all the information are there on the website. Get in touch with us, and probably yes, we can take that forward for you and help you wherever you choose to study. Yeah. Remember one thing, all Canadian universities, maximum universities out of those 98 universities are in the world QS ranking. So my recommendation would be please to visit our website so that you also understand the kind of university. We represent a lot of universities. So we really cannot put down all the universities on the slides, but yes, any university, be it a top university in UK, be a top university in Australia, any group of eight universities that you intend to study, whether it's a University of Melbourne or University of, I would say, Queensland, University of New South Wales, or Australian National University, Monash University. So we can help you with those top universities in Australia. We also help all eight universities in New Zealand, also Uni Auckland, AUT, Massey, University of Waikato, Otago, etc., Massey, Lincoln, etc. So we can help you all those. Now, a special message for all the students who wish to study to any of the European countries. We do help students with a 100% scholarship for the Italian visas, provided you meet the entry requirement. So Italy is again a very upcoming and a popular destination in Europe from the entire amongst 27 Schengen countries. So yes, you tend to get a government scholarship from the Italian government. The Irish government do spend money on the students. Indian government do not spend much money on students to literate. So that's the literacy rate is not that high. But the Irish government do invest money on the students in getting the student visa. So they will pay you for your accommodation, they will pay you for your tuition fee, which may range up to 4.5 lakh for bachelor's and 5 lakh for your master's program for each consecutive year, the number of years you study. Plus, they give you a certain stipend of 7,200 euros every year for your expense, right? So provided there is a process of applying to the Italian university, get in touch with us. We can help assess your profile and let you know that you can avail the maximum scholarship from the Italian universities. Understand, if you try to do things on your own, you may lag somewhere or the other. Take a professional help so that you can, without wasting time, you at a one shot you can get into a top universities in Italy, whether it's a Sapienza or Bologna or any Torino, University of Polimi, University of Milan, Tor Vergata, any University of Rome, the n number of universities, so Trento, I would say casinos everywhere. So we can help you in those top universities with 100% scholarship. I repeat, Visa Avenue have helped students with getting 100% scholarship from the Irish, I would say Italian universities. Get in touch with us. We will help you with this. With this, I would like to conclude this session. I can see a lot of questions popping it out, but I would really appreciate if you can drop an email to this email ID, which is info at Visas Avenue, VISAS Avenue.com. So if you can forward your profile and your documentation, we are happy to help you. With this, I would just take one last question uh, from two students, which has come. Do Irish, I'll just take two more questions and then we'll end the session. My BTech is 6.5, around 63%. Can I apply for the public university? Yes, Syed, yes, you can apply with the GPA that you have, which is 6.5. CGPA that you have with 63%, you can apply to Italy public universities. Yes, of course, I would be looking forward to your CV. Send it across to us, and I can help you with the maximum scholarship that you can avail. The scholarship application for Italy would open in the month of March. So you need to complete all your prerequisites by now to get into the scholarship scheme, because the scholarship is been offered by the government. So there's a different set of application to apply for an the Italian university process. University will be giving you an offer letter. That's a different application. Scholarship application is altogether different ball game. So you have to send all the documents well in advance. We will tell you what is the maximum chance of getting to all the public university. This university which I'm talking about, like Sapienza, Bologna, Trento, Polimi, these universities like 800,000 years old, and their alumni are like Galileo. These are the alumni that we have. As you know, Italy is also a hub for fashion and any other destinations. You know that, right? So somebody who's looking at a fashion, textile, or into merchandising or any other can also look into Italy as an option. So, Syed, I look forward for your CV. There is one more question. Minimum band for me, ma'am. I can't get you. Who's that, Mohammed? Mohammed, can you repeat the question? Acha, for the MBA program, right? See, if you're going for an executive MBA, it is appreciated to have an 7 overall score. No component should be less than 7. That means your reading, writing, listening, and speaking should be 7, 7, 7 each. Yes. So, Syed, one more thing to tell you that if you're looking for a master's program in Italy with the GPA that you have, the only concern is with your 63%. Your GPA is perfectly fine, which is 63. That I'm a little skeptical. So, please send your CV and your documentation because it is an early application. If at all you get an offer letter from any XYZ university and you do not offer for a scholarship, later on past the deadline, you will not, the university or the government will not enter in that category of scholarship of 100%. So try to speed up your process as early as possible so that we can help you with this. There's one more question which has come up, that do Ireland public university provide free education, free or low fee education? See, when we talk about Ireland education system, it's again similar to the British education system. All master's programs are for 1 year, may go up to 2 years. Bachelors are for 3 to 4 years, right? So there is nothing as such called free education in Ireland, but yes, the fees is quite economic. That means it would range from, I would say, 11,000 euros to, it may go up to 18,000 euros for one academic year. So that is all. I hope everybody is aware that Ireland is also part of EU Union. So they do, you have an access to the mainlands of Europe when you go to Ireland. Yeah, that's again there for Ireland. But yes, there is no free education in Ireland. That's only in Italy that you can look ahead with, or any of the Schengen or the European countries. So one on cases we can help you with. So there's one more question, Said. Yeah, thank you. We'll be waiting for your the English proficiency test, Syed. We need to look into your English proficiency score that you had in your 10th, 12th, and your graduation. There are universities who do accept MOI, but recommended to have a IELTS score as well. So that will inform you on a case by case basis. I hope I have answered to everybody's question and I'm not left with too many questions. Let me just have a look. Rohit, I hope I have answered to your question about the UK process. Yeah. Satnam, we would be looking forward for your CV for the permanent residency process. Please mention the province that you're looking at. Probably we can help you with that as well. Yeah. So with that, I'm trying to end this session, and we will just wait for 1 more minute, and then we'll try to end up the session. And wish you luck. And I would really thank you for. I would really thank everyone, all the parents, all the students, all the aspirants, all the professionals for your time in attending this webinar, and looking forward for your participation in the future most like that we'll be doing it. Hopefully next Thursday we would be having another session, and stay tuned with us. All the best. Wish you a very happy new year. Thank you.